One thing you should be careful when you are working on this scheduling algorithms is you might not be able to schedule all the processes continuously. There might be some gaps in the Gantt chart. For example, see this. Let us say processes are like this: process P1, P2. Let me say process number, arrival time, and burst time. Process P1, process P2, process P3, and the arrival time is say 0, and burst time is 2, and the arrival time is 3, and the burst time is 1, and the arrival time is 5, and the burst time is say 6, something like this. Then what happens is you are obviously going to pick the first one to execute the first one. So you are going to take the first one, which is going to have P1, it is going to start at 0, and since the burst time is 2, it is going to finish by 2 units, right? And then what happens is after 2 units at this time, you have to check it. See, now the time is 2, and now you have to check what is the next one which has arrived at 2. But if you look at it, the first one has arrived at 0, but the second one has not arrived at, isn't it? The second one didn't arrive at. So no other process has arrived at time 2, so you have to wait till time 3. That is the next available process. It is at time 3. So from 2 to 3 we are simply going to wait. So only at 3 the next one is available. And what is the next one? Process P2. P2 is available here, right? And what is the burst time of P2? 1 unit. Therefore it is going to finish by 4. And when you are at time 4, 1 and 2 are over, and the next process is not available until 5. Therefore we have to wait till 5. So that is how you got some gaps in the Gantt chart, right? So this is nothing but CPU is simply idle. It is not doing anything because there is no process set. So even though you have P1, P2, P3, you cannot write P1 then P2 then P3 because they are not available yet, right? So till 5 o'clock. And then what about it? It is going to take 6 units of time, therefore it is going to finish at 11. So what is the total schedule length? You started at 0 and finished at 11, but then you have waited for 2 units in the middle, right? So it could be interesting like that. They might give you some gaps. So just be careful that whenever you are picking the next process to schedule, just see whether it is available or not. So always think about where you are standing at that particular point of time. Just check if the process which you are choosing according to the parameter has arrived or not, right? And now you can finish the remaining things off. So what is completion time? Completion time of P1 is 2, and completion time of P2 is 4, and completion time of P3 is 11, right? And what is the turnaround time? So turnaround time is completion time minus arrival time. Here it is 2, here it is 1, and here it is 6. And then what is the waiting time? It is interesting, check this. So even though our schedule is looking so long, the waiting time will not be so much. Actually it is interesting, watch it. Now we know that waiting time is turnaround time minus burst time. Then what is this? 0. What is this? 0. What is this? 0. Interesting, right? So waiting time of all the processes are 0 because no process is actually waiting for the CPU. In fact, CPU is waiting for the process, isn't it? It is like no student is waiting for the teacher. In fact, teacher is waiting for the students. Funny, right? So what happened is average waiting time is going to be 0 in this case, and average turnaround time is going to be same. And interestingly, turnaround time is equal to burst time here. What could be the reason? As and when a process is arriving, it is immediately going for scheduling, right? So there is nothing. And now how do you implement this FCFS? The simplest data structure using which you would implement it is queue. So you have maintain a queue, and as and when a process arrives, you put them in the queue. Therefore queue is the simplest data structure which is enough to to put them. And what about the time complexity? From the queue you can actually add each process and then remove each process. Therefore every process is going to enter the queue once. If you implement the queue as an array, every process is going to enter the queue once, which is going to take constant time, and leave the queue once, which is going to take constant time. Therefore time complexity of this algorithm is order of n, where n is the number of processes. The simple implementation is using the queue. Got it? So just be careful with such examples. Okay.